This is DJ Rubbish on the ones and twos.
And I just come here to let y'all know it's about to get real filthy in this mother.
Alright, welcome to episode number 9 of In Todd We Trust. Got my boy Dan here today to discuss Green Book. You can stream on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube if the video is working. For those of you that are wondering where some of the videos are for some of my episodes, the answer is they did not go up because the recording, for whatever reason, got cut off. So hopefully we work through that and this one is good. But that is the answer to that. Please follow the podcast on IG at Todd Pods. All right, so let me start off by saying thanks to Dan for coming by, the homie. Are you excited?
I'm very excited. I've been dreaming about this day since, I was about 10 years old. So.
Wow.
And it was still about 15 years from conception then, but I had a vision that at some point in the future this would happen, and, I wanted to be a part of it. So thank you for inviting me on. And
the Prophet Dan.
It's just, it's really something special, and,
We like to make dreams come true here. So.
And you did. You did.
So Dan, little background about me and Dan. Dan lived a couple doors down. Was it 4? Do you live 4 rooms down? What was your room number? Do you remember?
I don't know, but I was about 4 or 5 rooms down, and we
freshman year in college, Case Hall at Michigan State, and we've been cool ever since. I've been third wheeling with he and his girlfriend Rachel for the last 7 years. So at some point, I'm hoping to have my own relationship, but until then, I'll just keep imposing on theirs.
We like having you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they now have a 2-bedroom, so I'm probably gonna move into that 2nd bedroom. Newsflash, I'm sorry, I know we haven't talked about it yet, but
you're always welcome.
Yeah, so appreciate that. In his spare time, he enjoys golfing, tennis, and crocheting. So he's a very talented man, a Renaissance man, if you will. So
what can I say?
Another piece from me and Dan's history in college are we played a ton of IM teams together, right? So I was looking over. I had to count up what the actual record is, but I'll go through each team. I went through today, logged back into the IM account to see what our records were for each of the teams that we played on together. I'm probably the greatest coach to never have had a winning record in the sport. So if that's an award,
yeah, and there's not many of those. So you're putting yourself in some pretty elite company, right?
So starting out, Ohana Volleyball Club.
Yeah.
1-4.
1-4.
1-4, baby.
That's believable.
Unreal Madrid soccer team. Do you know what that record was?
I don't think we won.
1-4.
All right.
We got one. We got
some
one.
Consistency. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Was it forfeit, or did we actually play and we took a dub?
It probably was a forfeit.
Yeah. It sounds about
The other
right.
team probably forfeited. But, hey, a dub is a dub, man. In the record books, they're going to see a dub. Doesn't matter what the score was, or if the other team showed up, or if anyone. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So then we got Ohana 2.0 Volleyball Club. We kept it consistent, 1-4. We did make some adjustments, but not enough to overcome that previous record. Schmitty, Werben, Jagerman, Jensen's. That was a fun team. That was a super fun team. Co-ed football. 0-5. That's the most fun I've ever had not winning ever in my life.
So you're saying, I think you just listed 4 or 5 teams, and we have 3 wins between all of them?
Between 4 teams.
Between 4 teams.
So wait, what is that? Let me add that up real quick. That is, if I can do math quickly, 3-17.
Yeah.
No, that's not right. That's not right.
No,
that is right.
Is that right?
3-17.
Wow.
Over. So that's just through those. We have more.
17% winning percentage. If you round up, it's a generous 18.
Manchester divided soccer. 2 and 3. That one, but that's when we had Kevin.
Yeah.
When Kevin came on as a ringer, and we had Meg for 2 games, so that's reflective of the 2 and 3.
For those of you who don't know Kevin, he was like an all-state soccer player and kicker for Michigan State football. So
yeah. So shout out to Kevin.
He had a golden foot.
How is Kevin doing?
He's good.
Good.
Yeah, he's good. I talk to him quite frequently. He's,
Nice.
He's living the dream.
Nice.
That's all you can ask.
Proud of him. Sorry for your loss, volleyball team, which I thought was going to be kind of the way we like suck it to the other teams. Like, yeah, sorry for your loss. I thought it was clever at the time, but then keeping track with the other volleyball teams, we went 1-4. Sorry for your loss 2.0.
I think these were all forfeits.
Listen, don't shortchange our team.
Yeah, I guess.
Sorry for your loss 2.0 volleyball team, 3-3.
Wow.
3-3.
There you
Hey,
go. We finally made it to 500.
that was a team, man. Bring that past here, boy. Men's football team. I hated that team. I hated that team. Oh my god, I hated everyone by the time the season was over.
Yeah.
We went 1-4, and I feel like they gave us a win because I don't remember going 1-4 on that team. I feel like we didn't win. And then overly seasoned vet soccer 3-3 again. So we've had some success. I
think our success were the team names.
Yeah, right.
Other than that, I don't know if there was anything
So-
you could really call a success.
Yes,
So,
friendships.
we
We
had
made some
friendship.
bonding friendships.
Yeah.
Had really good times. Had a lot of great laughs. A lot of good meals afterwards in the calf.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
So it was awesome. It was awesome. Great times. I had to bring that up. I thought about it right before, and I was like, right before I came here, I logged into the old account, and I saw my winning percentage, and I was like, well, I have to break these down, each of these teams.
Yeah, and I wasn't really expecting to take a trip down memory lane going into this podcast, so I'm glad you brought it up. And a lot of good memories.
So never forget, you're a loser.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
So to this movie, Green Book. It came out in November 16th. I've been wanting to talk about it for a while, but just there were a lot of really good movies I wanted to talk about first, and this just felt like a good time to talk about this one. It's about a working-class Italian-American bouncer who becomes the driver of an African-American classical pianist on a tour of venues through the 1960s American South. So it casts Mahershala Ali as Dr. Don Shirley, who's the pianist. Mahershala Ali has just been killing it over the past couple of years.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's in everything, and he's a really good actor. Really, really good actor. I like him in everything that I've seen him in. He was in 2 movies that were both nominated for awards. What was that? Was that last year with or maybe no? Wow, that might have been 2 years ago with what is the one with them going to space?
I didn't see
Hidden
it.
Figures. Hidden Figures was
Okay.
one, and then the other one was Moonlight. He's in both of those. Both of those really good movies. I think they were both nominated for Movie of the Year. If not, they were both got nominated for a ton of awards. He was also in Luke Cage as the villain. He's in True Detective. I haven't watched True Detective yet. I do plan to start that. But point being, he's in a ton of things. He's
House of
blowing
Cards.
up.
He was in
He
House
wasn't.
of Cards.
Yeah, he's in. Yeah, it's Remy. Yeah, so he's in House of Cards. That's right. So then you have Viggo Mortensen, who plays Tony Lip in the movie.
Yeah.
Who is the Italian American bouncer / driver of from Mahershala Ali, Dr. Don Shirley. Then you have Linda how do you say that? Cardellini as Dolores.
Yep.
Cardellini. Yep. So we have her as Dolores, who is Tony Lip's wife. She's in a ton of different things too. She actually had the longest kind of like rap sheet, I guess, or credits, I should say, on IMDb. Like as I was looking, and I obviously recognized her, but I forgot how many things she was in and how long she's been around. So, really great actress. She didn't play she wasn't one of the main. I mean, she was in there, but she's been the star of a ton of different movies.
Yeah, really familiar face.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So yeah, it's not I don't look at her and say like, oh, that's so her from like I couldn't be like, oh, she's in that. But then like when I went there, I was like, oh, that's right, she was that. She was Velma and Scooby Doo, and I'm like I completely forgot about that. Anyway, so cool things about this movie that I didn't know going into it. It's inspired by a true story. So I don't think either. Did you know that before?
No, I didn't. No, I did not know anything.
Yeah, I
about
was
the
saying you
movie
didn't. Yeah, I just kind
going
of grabbed you
into
and
it,
said we're going to the movie. So, I didn't know that until right before I got to the movie theater. Green Book is referring to the Negro Motorist Green Book, which is more commonly referred to as Green Book, is the title of the movie. Which was a travel guide used between 1936 and 1964 by black people that listed the businesses that would be acceptable for African American customers. I did not know that. That's something I looked up after, because obviously we go and we, obviously we put 2 and 2 together in the movie. They kind of explained it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know if I had never heard of it before, so I was like, I just wanted to get like some more information. Obviously, that's not like a deep analysis of it, but that gives you the picture of what it is. This book that they use throughout the movie to know where Don Shirley is allowed to stay as they go through the Deep South. The music in it, so that the next thing, any movie surrounding music or where someone's playing the piano, playing an instrument, obviously the actor has to learn some things, and the question is always like, are they playing it? Are they singing the notes? Are they lip singing? Whenever you see movies that have this type of that's about an artist. So with him, he did learn how to play piano for this role, but obviously like still can't play those intricate songs and stuff like that. So they had another guy, Chris Bowers, who played as his double. So I don't know how they did that with camera work, but they did a really great job. If they would have told me that Mahershala Ali knew how to play prior to this, I would have believed them. Yeah, I would have believed. Like if you'd have said like, oh yeah, I grew up playing piano.
Yeah.
They did a great job with it. So this guy, which was really impressive, not only the camera work, but that this guy Chris Bowers is that great of a pianist. Yeah. Then 3, so they didn't have a lot of sheet music for Dr. Don Shirley's music. So this guy Chris Bowers had to write it, transcribe it down from listening to it, which is even more impressive. Wow. Yeah. A lot of it, not all of the music that was played, but a lot of it. So I thought that was just blew my mind as well. One of my goals in life is at one point to join a quartet that performs at jazz clubs. That's one of my goals.
Do you know how to play any music?
So I do know how to play. Do you know what the euphonium is?
No.
I
don't. But I want to learn now.
Yeah. So it's basically like a small tuba that sits on your lap.
You do not know how to play that.
Leisten, I swear. So my mom strongly encouraged my sister and I to play instruments when we were younger, and learn. So I tried to learn how to play piano, which was just failed. My teacher sucked. I'm gonna put all the blame on my teacher, but I didn't pick that up well. So then in 5th grade, the high schoolers came to my elementary school and said they all showcased or played a few notes from all the different instruments you could choose from. And hey, when next year you all can or next semester you all can pick up an instrument. There's some background on each instrument. So for whatever reason, I just was trying to be different. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do the euphonium. That was one of the. I was like, I don't know why.
It's not surprising at all.
So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be different. So I did the euphonium 5th grade through 8th grade. So in the fingering for it is very similar to the trumpet. It's very similar. So for a lot of the songs it was the same. So my point is, when I decide to pick an instrument backup, I'm probably just gonna pick up the trumpet because I can play that solo, or there's probably more need for someone who plays the trumpet rather than someone who plays the euphonium. So so TBD on tickets to.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
As soon as you go on this tour with this quartet or trio or whoever you find yourself with, I would like to sit front row.
So I'll definitely give you a heads up.
Great. Thank you.
Also, going down memory lane.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we were on the cusp of starting a band ourselves.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Do you remember the name?
I don't. No.
What? Loose Staples. Come on,
the
man.
Loose Staples. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, man. So Dan and I actually were part of a group of friends that we were going to start. Dan, you actually know how to play. What do you know how to play? I know you know how to play something.
I used to play a lot of guitar.
That's what
I started off with the violin. I should get back to it, honestly. It's my fault for putting it down and not keeping up with it, but I used to play a lot.
Yeah.
So I was very average, but I could at least.
You're good enough for the Loose Staples.
I could get through songs, and I was kind of a rhythm guy, but I could be a part of the Loose Staples for sure.
The way you said that was as if you didn't have to be top notch to be a part of the group, which I don't appreciate.
At that point in time, we were just kind of we were coming up with these ideas at sitting in your dorm room at 1 in the morning. So I don't think we were expecting greatness.
Well,
but we could have been great had we kept with it.
Yeah. So just a little tidbit there. We might end up picking that back up. So be ready.
You let me know. I'm ready to step up because I want to see that instrument. That I've already forgotten the name.
Euphonium. I'm gonna pull it up for you. Guys. I won't like waste the time on the podcast to do it, but after the podcast, I'll show you what euphonium is. So,
I think on the next podcast, you should actually bring it in
Bring
and
euphonium?
start the show with you playing the euphonium.
that might be a different show.
Your viewership would have to go through the roof.
Oh
if
man,
you
I
brought that in.
lose all the
I don't think so.
handful of followers I have.
Nope.
So there's actually an orchestra hall in Detroit that's right next to my apartment.
Yeah,
So-
I've heard amazing things, and
Really?
I've never been. My parents actually would talk about it a lot when I was younger.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out now. Now
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
I
Okay.
think they would go and actually. So we haven't really gotten into the movie yet, but I did look and see that Don Shirley, the the main character, he actually played, I think, either at the DSO,
Oh,
the
really?
Detroit Symphony Orchestra, or some maybe
Oh,
the
that's
Fox
dope.
Theater or something downtown. So he actually, like, Detroit was one of his stops when he was in.
Oh, that's really cool.
When he
Okay,
was in his prime.
that's
tour.
really cool. Yeah, I definitely want to check that place out. Like I said, it's right. I walk past it all the time, and I see like stuff, on the weekends and stuff like that. Like I see lines outside of it. So, the only thing is to get to dress up.
I wonder if
I
they
hate
have any
dressing
euphoniums.
Hey, wait till I show you this. Like, wait till you see all the list of all the famous people that play euphonium.
I'm ready to learn.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
very ready. Some guy just walked by with a guitar actually outside, and
Loser, he should have a euphonium.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe there's a euphonium in there, and I didn't pick
It's
up on that.
all fun and games, man, until you see it. So the thing with this movie, like the focus with a lot of movies that deal with race or someone's like, I don't know how to put it. It's a lot of character development
Yeah.
in this movie. So that's the main focus. You have Tony Lip, who's a bouncer driver that's basically hustling on the streets of Brooklyn in order to like put food on the table for his family.
Yeah.
Stop looking at my notes. Stop,
Sorry.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, stop cheating. Look at
All right,
my
all
notes. So
He was in Manhattan. He lived in the Bronx.
he lived in the Bronx. Trying to put food on the table by any means necessary. Kind of shady back avenues, mob ties, and someone who seems to be prejudiced or racist towards African Americans.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There was that
definitely.
in the beginin where.
Oh, yeah, where he threw out the cups, yeah.
Yeah. He threw out the cups.
Yeah, so they established early on in the movie that he's racist. His wife has over 2 like plumbers, mechanics come
Yeah.
over. He walks in, sees that they're black. Doesn't cause a ruckus, but she offers them lemonade. They drink, and after they drink out of the cups, he throws the cups away.
Yeah.
So they set it up for you to just see, like, okay, this is where he's coming from, and it's a little bit about him. And then we have Don Shirley, which his character development is obviously the main focus.
Yeah.
And then their friendship that kind of comes together, or mutual respect, I should say, as they go on tour. Don Shirley is setting out to go on a countrywide tour primarily through the Deep South. And during this time, obviously, very dangerous for him to do so. And he realizes that he needs to employ someone who's white who can also serve as like not only a driver but somewhat of a bodyguard for him. So, and here's around town, and here's that this guy is the guy that he needs. So they put their differences aside, set out on this journey through America, and they start out up north, I guess, so that you can see as an audience the contrast of how he was treated in New York, Pittsburgh, and then they go on down south where obviously is much different. It's a little different today. It's a difference between New York and Alabama. So, but so anyway, it was really interesting to see the difference. You see Mahershala Ali in the movie just plays it to a T, and again, just talking about how great he is as an actor, where he can switch out of these. Like I've seen him in so many different roles, and I've critiqued on this podcast before, like Michael B. Jordan, where I feel like he's the same guy in every single movie, and that's not the case with Mahershala Ali. From the way he carries himself, like I was looking at an interview before reading an article about how for this role he adjusted the way he stood and the way he sat at the piano, just his body language. He wanted to mimic that of a pianist. So I mean the attention to detail in this, you can tell. Like I said, in these other roles, I've seen him in a lot of different other roles, and it's completely different. It's a completely different guy. So he did an amazing job with this, and I didn't know anything about Don Shirley prior to this, so I can't compare. But like I said, I think that he did a great job selling it. So, what did you think about how and we didn't do this intentionally, but like you said that Tony Lip, like his family, like his Italian American family, like reminded you of some of your family members and things like. Do you feel like they did a good job there? Do you feel like they like overdid it? Like,
no, I mean I thought it was pretty accurate, and they just kind of the way they talked, like big family gatherings, him, interacting with his family members. Everything's about respect and hustling to make money to put food on the table, and it kind of hit home to it. Like some of the phrases they were saying, there was some Sicilian dialect in there. Not like I didn't really speak it growing up, but you hear some phrases and stuff, and you could tell. And the really impressive thing about I didn't realize Viggo Mortensen was Tony Lip until I looked it up afterwards. I didn't even see it in the credits, but he did such a good job of pulling it off. I just thought that actor was some random Italian guy that they pulled off to play him. It was very believable.
Right.
And Viggo Mortensen's like Danish or something like that.
Oh, really?
He completely transformed himself into this Italian almost mobster type guy, Sicilian mobster, and he does a great job with it.
Yeah, so they both did a really good job, and Don Shirley, he is a very complicated guy from what it seems. Again, just going strictly off of the movie, didn't know anything about him prior, but seeing how even with all the success and he was a prodigy at the piano and very educated and very well respected, wherever he's going. Very arrogant, but a strong sense of right and wrong, it seemed.
Yeah.
It seemed like, as you watch throughout the movie, it seems that somewhat comes from him feeling like he needs to change the stereotype of African Americans, like when he goes to the South, and even the whole point of him going to the Deep South, when it was made mention that why is he going down South when all of these so many issues with race relations, when he can make so much more money just staying in New York. He can make way more money for gigs in New York than he could down South, but he wanted to do it because he felt like he needed to make a difference, and he needed to show people in the Deep South that not all African Americans are one way, or So that kind of seemed like the message that he was, or why he was motivated to do it. So it was just interesting. It was these things that came out as you're watching that. It not necessarily a shocker, but just like I didn't necessarily expect this. Like I think we both said we didn't expect it to be such a deep movie. But it was good. They did a good job with also making it humorous. Like, it was some parts where, like, audibly I'm laughing. So when you add that into these type of movies, like, I think that softens the blow. So it's not just you walk out just like, dang.
For a topic that's very deep, I think they did a good job of, sending a message, but also, keeping it. I mean, it's listed as a comedy drama. Like, they try to keep it lighthearted and, But I think kind of, to that point with the Tony Lip character, they don't specify, but it kind of sounded like he may have been an immigrant directly from Italy, or his parents were or something.
Right.
And kind of with that, there was a constant dialogue where, he's not very educated. He worked as a bouncer, but very prideful, and like you said, a strong sense of right and wrong. To where, if he was going to say something, he was committed to it. He had a one-liner during the movie where he's telling Dr. Don Shirley, if you're going to do something, do it 100%. And he's talking about eating, but the message comes across like, if you're going to do something, be committed to it. And he's ignorant in a lot of ways, which I think is common, right? Because he's back then, there's people were immigrating. They stayed within their own groups. All the Italians moved in together, all the Germans moved in together, Jewish people moved in together. There are these pockets, and and I think a lot of times the racism and like they mentioned in the beginning, it just came from just complete ignorance, complete misunderstanding, and thinking you're different, you're not as good as me.
Right.
And I think those messages came across in a lot of their conversations, in the beginning, where he's asking like Dr. Don Shirley why he doesn't like fried chicken. And he's just making all these assumptions, saying, you look this way, you like fried chicken, or you look this way, like why don't you like what was it, like Aretha Franklin or something like that.
Right.
He's just going through and coming up with all these stereotypes, and I don't think for his character, he wasn't saying it to be hurtful. He was just saying it just like, you look this way, you look this way, you must like this. And I think that's where Dr. Don Shirley comes in and starts, teaching him you can't just make these assumptions.
Right.
Yeah, interesting content.
Yeah, it's super important not to generalize for any, like, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, when people generalize other people based on whatever the fact, like, obviously in this movie it's race, but where you live, where you're, all where you live, what you look like, where you work. I mean, there's so many different things where we try to put people in categories and boxes, and it's just not fair because everyone's different. Like, I really hate, like, certain statistics, like 1 in 5 people do this, like, unless you, like, and this might sound ignorant, but like, unless you, and it'll be like the sample size will be like 1,000 people, and I'm like, there's 7+ billion people in the world, and you sampled 1,000 people, and you're gonna give me a stat that you try to generalize everyone based off of, like that just pisses me off. So, but I think that happens, like, very often, and a lot of things that they talked about in the movie, like, are still very prevalent, and not just specific to, between white Americans and African American and Black Americans. Like, it's not, whatever the marginalized group is, like, whether it be, women, or whether it's based on race or sexuality, which they talked on that too. Dr. Don Shirley, as it comes out in the movie, is homosexual, and they didn't talk about it much. They just flashed it, which they actually got quite a bit of backlash for, which I'll talk about that at the end. Some of the backlash that they've received about this movie that, again, I saw after the fact, earlier today. But, and it's been nominated for a lot of awards, won 3 Golden Globes, still TBD on what it'll look like for the Oscars. They don't announce those until, I think, maybe a week and a half or something like that for the Oscars. But anyway, yeah, they like you said, they touched on a lot of deep, sensitive subjects, which so yeah, as we were sitting there, like, oh shoot, this is a little deeper than we were expecting, but it was good. It was a good movie. I think what everyone was really wondering is, how did Doc Shirley keep a fresh cut the entire movie? Like, where was he going to get his haircut? And that's what I was wondering. He had a fresh fade the entire movie, and I need to know where he was getting his haircut, because it seemed like they were just going on the road. They didn't have much time to sleep, and his haircut was perfectly cut. And I think that's what the people were really walking out of the theater wondering. I saw some of the older people leaving the theater looking at each other saying, honey, when did he get his haircut? So
I have no comment to that.
No comment. So that's what I need to know for the ride. That's my only critique is, when and where did he get his haircut, in the Deep South. Also, when he was talking about how people hire him to feel culture, like he said that, some of the places where they go down there and the people are clearly, racist, and like it was like one scene where he was performing at I don't know if it was this guy's like mansion or party, and he told him he had to use the restroom outside in like the outhouse. So these people are clearly racist, but still very welcoming to have him in the home to entertain. So, and he was explaining, Tony Lip was like floored by this, like, what in the world, like, don't let them talk to you like that, like, what, that's crazy, like, why don't we just not perform there, like, why do they even want you here? And he explained to Tony, like, well, they have me over to make themselves feel cultured. And I feel like that was one of those things where I saw it and I was like, wait, like, that definitely occurs today, maybe not in that facet as much, like that way, but like, I mean, I can think of a ton of people who, I look and see and they love like hip hop music, and like you see like the most popular music when you go to like clubs, no matter where it's at in the country, clubs, bars, whatever, what you see on social media a lot of times in movies, shows, is hip hop music or hip hop pop-ish, like a Drake or something like that, and like it'll be people that like love black culture but like don't like black people, which is like just such an odd thing, and I think that that's like showcased here, and again, just like drawing those, I mean, this isn't by chance either, like they're drawing these parallels on purpose. So I thought that was really like poignant for them to bring up, line of his, and he had a couple good lines, like I said, that I'll talk about in a second, but he had a couple good quotes that I really liked.
And and to that point, you think, there's still parallels, today that we see, but really this wasn't that long ago. It's before our lifetime, but it was, 1962,
right?
I believe, where the movie takes place, and which, 50 years ago, that's during my grandparents' lifetime, during my people who we talk to,
right? Yeah, very true. Yeah,
who we still know, like
100%.
They lived through that, and I mean, like to that scene where he played for all these people, and then they make him, they tell him he has to go to the bathroom in an outhouse outside, or he goes and plays for another group of people, and there's a nice restaurant where everyone's eating, with a nice ballroom attached to it, and they make him eat in a coat check closet in the basement, and like for so many reasons that was, totally wrong, but you just think, here's this guy who he's got these two musicians with him in this Tony Lip character, and he's by far the most accomplished, probably out of everyone in their circle, and you don't really know who the other people are, but he's on par with them. I mean, this guy's a doctor. He's a world-renowned musician. He's playing for the president of the United States on multiple occasions, and they're hiring him, they're paying him all this money, but just because of the color of his skin, the way he looked, he's got to go sit in a coat check closet and eat just because of that one reason. And it's aside from the racial issues, from a business perspective, like, you're gonna come pay this guy all this money to come play for you, and then like people aren't allowed to see him when they're eating. But like that stuff,
it's real.
It's real. Like this isn't like some weird concept that they came up with for a movie. Like, this stuff happened very recently. And, they're in the same scene where he eats in the coat check closet. The manager of the restaurant says, he gives Tony Lip an example when he asks, why are you making this guy who's way more accomplished than most people here eat in a coat check closet? And he said, well, when the Celtics came to town to play, I forget what was it, like the championship or something, that they had to go, the black players had to go eat at a blacks only restaurant down the road when the rest of the team ate there. Like, this stuff wasn't that long ago. These were some serious, just cultural and deeply ingrained racism issues that were happening, not far from where we are today.
That's a really good point. That's not like, in the grand scheme of things, like obviously like you said, like feels long from like when like our lifetime, but like in the grand scheme of like history, like it's not that long ago.
Not at all.
And it's not like it stopped like after that movie ended, like it stopped from there. Like those things were going on for longer periods of time than just that movie. But
like, we were on the moon by then.
To
put in perspective, I'm pretty sure, like this, I don't know, maybe don't quote me on that. I'm gonna fact check that.
We were on the moon by then, Dan.
I'm looking up the moon.
Yeah, he's looking it up. We're gonna confirm that for you all. But yeah, no, that was one of my favorite parts of that. I think that was my favorite part of the movie, when that restaurant that Dan's referring to, when he went and they told him, hey, you can't eat here, but he was performing in that same place, but he just couldn't eat there. He stands up to them and says, okay, we're not performing then. And they're like, well, you have a contract. And they're like, all right, well, we don't care. And they get pissed off. So he stands up to them, and then he goes down to the black-only restaurant that the waiter or whatever hostess referred him to in the first place to eat. And he goes there and plays. And, one of the things that he mentioned earlier in the movie is how he didn't feel like he was accepted by the black community or the white community, because he felt like he was, in the black community, they shunned him because he was, educated in the way he spoke. And then he felt like in the white community, they shunned him because he was black. Like, no matter how educated he was and, how talented he was, it didn't matter. So that was something that he quoted as something that bothered him. So for him to, one of the final scenes being him going into, a black-only restaurant where they're already giving him, like, shooting him looks and, talking about him because, murmurs because he's dressed up in a tuxedo coming in there and everyone else is in, regular street clothes. And then he starts to play, and then you kind of see, like, the acceptance and it was one of those just, like, feel-good moments where it all kind of comes together. Another thing that I really liked, another part, was they got pulled over twice in the movie. So the first time they get pulled over, the guy is pulling them over because it was after hours. Like black people in this area couldn't be out after a certain time. So the cop pulls them over. Tony loses his cool, punches the cop. They end up going to jail. They end up getting out. Not to go into detail about all that, but just that was one point. The guy pulled them over. It was, a racist cop. Then they get pulled over towards the end when they're on their way back home. Obviously, they're like hesitant and nervous because they had, this guy pulled over a few days, weeks, whatever before, and ended up in jail. This cop pulls them over and lets them know that they have a flat tire, and then has a spare, and then helps them change out the spare. Just looking out, just being a good guy. So I thought that was cool. They did it kind of. I don't want to say there were parts of the movie that were campy's not the right word. They weave in these parts that make it still like very like PG, like I'm gonna help you get the message that we're trying to give you, like very like simple, like they simplify it for everyone to, which I like because I think
that's necessary. When you have a large audience, that you have to get the message across in a way that can be understood by a lot of, even though in real life it wasn't that simple. You have to get the message out in a way that the masses will be able to understand. By the way, we weren't on the moon by then, but same decade.
Same decade. So that is remember that, America. It was the same decade.
59, the Soviets put a rocket there, but U.S. human landing was 69. So.
Was the landing for real, or was it staged in Hollywood?
Yeah, I guess
so
it depends on who you talk to. I think it's real, but
okay, another podcast. But no, I thought those two moments were really cool. How they did that, like I said, did it probably happen like that? Probably not. But I think, right now with so much, much comment, and I'm not gonna comment like one way or the other, but like there's so much turmoil and arguments around like, police brutality and all that stuff. But I think it's important to remember that, just like with any group of people, there's people who do things that are really malicious and evil, and there are people who aren't that way. So you can't. Same way with generalizing, like you just can't do that. So same way with generalizing all black people in a way as some people do, you can't do that with law enforcement either. Like, there probably are some bad guys in law enforcement and crooked cops. But there's also some guys that are doing it for the right reasons, who are truly trying to help, who went into it, who swore an oath, who take that oath seriously. Yeah, so I think that's important to like...
More often than not.
More often than
Way
not.
more often than that.
So I think that's important to note, and that when you see these really terrible instances where that's not the case, that it's just that there are these one-off, or even if you take 20 instances, that's 20 in the entire nation out of millions of cops or law enforcement. So it's important to like, again, where they put that part in there where it's like, hey, not everyone's the enemy. So you can't generalize a whole group based on some bad apples. So final verdict on the movie. What'd you think, Dan?
I really liked it. I told you on the way out that, like, we didn't know what we were walking into. You probably had a little bit better of an idea than I did, but I really liked it, and I thought that they, did a good job. Whether they simplified it a little bit, I think they did a good job of, showing the message of, this was real and this happened not a very long time ago. So, they did it in a very powerful way. But you did mention there was some backlash to it that I did not look into, so maybe you can provide some insight.
I'll shed some light. So for me, same. I thought it was an amazing movie. Walked out yesterday and was like, wow, that was really good. I text my family actually in the movie, like right in the like ending scene, like, hey, if you all haven't seen this, go see it. It's about, I told them to just give them a quick synopsis and was like, hey, check it out. It's a good movie. So I thought it was great. Now, what I can't do is speak on the legitimacy of the film.
Okay.
After reading some stuff, after doing a little research. So they got backlash from Don Shirley's family, saying that they weren't consulted before the movie. You see this so often with biopics, where the family gets upset because they weren't consulted, which I think is a little bit of two different things. One, either A, they were consulted and are just trying to sue and like get some type of payday, or two, they weren't consulted and the people who wrote the movie should be ashamed of themselves. So I don't know which one this is. I don't know these people personally, and all I can do is read. the articles and come up with my own like judgment. But
don't they allude to the fact though that he wasn't close to his family in the first place?
Yeah, so they allude to the fact that Dr. Don Shirley is lonely. That was one question I was going to ask you too. Sorry to veer off from the end, then we'll get back to the criticism. So Don Shirley is really lonely in the movie. Like, he doesn't have any family that he's close to, divorced from his wife, which he says is because of the fact that he was a touring artist, but obviously, as we later find out, probably has some to do with the fact that he was homosexual and it just wasn't acceptable at this time by the masses for him to be homosexual male and black on top of that. So two things that he would have had to battle with. So he kind of suppressed those or wasn't outwardly gay in the movie. So
was that ever like confirmed, or did they just kind of
they added? I pray to God they didn't add that in there just for the movie. I didn't confirm. I didn't like look up if he was actually gay, but I mean that they would have received backlash if they would have just made him gay for the sake of making the movie more culturally relevant. Like, that would have been crazy if they did that now. There's no way they would have got away with that. So so I am assuming that that's actually the case. I did not fact check that, but point being is he was really lonely, super talented, super successful. Would you rather be successful and alone or have a family and be a failure?
Wow. That's a deep question.
I know. I was thinking about that afterwards.
Well, I mean, I'd rather have a family and, be a failure. Family is important, and you got people around you, they support you. No one becomes successful just on their own. Even the most successful people have help, whether it's family or,
pseudo-family,
people they've met along the way, along their journey that have made them what they are. But, I mean, failure is kind of a, deep word, but I'd rather have family.
Hindsight, I probably should turn the lights on in here.
You want me to
get a little? I mean, we don't have to now. We're about to be done in like a couple minutes.
Oh, okay.
But I'm looking now. I'm like, it's a little dark.
Yeah. Well, what about you to that question? You.
I don't know. I mean, I would want to say.
I want no one in my life. Just my money.
Like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
I want to say family.
Yes. I mean, everyone wants.
I mean, I definitely want a family. I definitely don't want to I don't want to die alone and just have this money. However, it would kill me to be a father and have a family.
Oh,
and be not we always be struggling and not being able to provide and fail it. So
that's why I think failure. That's kind of an extreme gap.
Yeah, that is. I mean, you can do super successful and kind of successful with family.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd say kind of successful with family. But if it had to be extreme of you're a broke loser or you're super successful, and I'm probably gonna go super successful alone. I'm probably gonna choose that.
Yeah.
So, but again, I chose two obviously extremes, but that's because it makes the question harder.
Right, that does make the question harder. Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. So think about that. Think about that, Dan. If you want to be a failure, or if you want to be alone. But anyway, got some backlash, man. So they said it was his brother, who in the movie they said he was estranged from, had some backlash about how he was portrayed and said that I think it was Don Shirley's niece also said that him and Tony were never friends. They were just he just employed Tony and that they exaggerated that. I thought it was interesting that in the movie they make this guy estranged, but then in real life this guy's yo, what did you know what I mean? So that was interesting. Then the response to it from the writers was even worse. It was oh, my assistant or whoever he had that employed to research and find the family so that they can get input couldn't find any living relatives. And then it's then this guy comes out
Don Shirley? He had no living relatives.
That's what the person who was researching this couldn't find any. And then this guy comes out and it's I'm his brother, I'm still alive, and niece. And I'm okay, so either this person did a terrible job or they purposefully cut these people out. So that sounds sketchy. When that's your response, that sounds sketchy. If you would have said, no, we reached out to him and he said he wanted nothing to do with the movie, it's okay, well then that's on him. But when you say, oh, my assistant or whoever who was looking into it couldn't find any of his living relatives, you didn't look hard enough. So that doesn't sound good. Also, it came out that one of the writers flashed like a movie set or something like that several years ago.
Are you serious?
It's like so unrelated to the movie, but it's just like anything bad that you do, like it's gonna come back up, and it just is gonna like discredit everything you're currently doing. Like, so that just is like, dang, like
I feel like the whole movie making cinema.
It's a bad
Hollywood,
place, man.
Hollywood, like some weird stuff.
Weird stuff, man. It's some not okay stuff going on
Yeah.
there. And then you have Nick, Tony's son in real life, who was found for making or retweeting like a super insensitive tweet about Muslims back like several years ago. So obviously not a great look. He's since deleted his Twitter, obviously. So not a good look. Also Mahershala Ali, who won for best supporting or best actor in a supporting role, or whatever, at the Golden Globes. Not whatever. I have it written down. Best performance by an actor in a supporting role. He's Muslim in real life, so that's probably not a good look for one of the writers to have written something insensitive. So yeah, and then also when it's the like not only is it the writer of the movie, but it's also the son of the guy in the movie who's supposed to change, and then he like it's just not a good look. So hopefully that doesn't diminish the story, and people don't still seek out the actual story and do research on Green Book and this guy's story because of a couple of hiccups, or or not, I don't want to let them off the hook. Bad decisions by the writers. Like, I hope that doesn't stop people from looking into the story, watching this movie, because I thought it was a good movie, and then, like I said, doing their own research about him. It did win 3 awards at the Golden Globes. One was for Best Picture, Musical or Comedy. Like I said, Mahershala Ali for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, and then Best Screenplay by these writers. So, like I said, it was good. We'll see how this pans out. Hopefully, they meet with the family and can get some of this stuff figured out, and they can all like come to an agreement, apologize. They've already apologized publicly, but again, hopefully they actually make like real amends, because that would suck if this guy's passed away. He has a legacy, so hopefully they do it justice. All right, so that's all I have on the movie. Upcoming movies. What are you excited for? Anything particular?
So I don't know what's up and coming. So maybe like
you failed me, Dan, once again.
Yeah, maybe like the next Star Wars or something. In a few years.
What? No, get out of here! Get out of here! That's not specific enough. Hotel Mumbai comes out March 22nd. Saw this trailer the other day. It's the true story of the Taj Hotel terrorist attack in Mumbai. The hotel staff risked their lives to keep everyone safe as possible. I can't read. Keep everyone safe as people make unthinkable sacrifices to protect themselves and their families. It's starring Dev Patel, who is also from Slumdog Millionaire, and Lion. Both of those are really good. I really, really like Lion. And then, so I'm really excited for that. And that comes out March 22nd. So that is all I had. Dan? Oh, what's up?
Yeah, side note, though, that I believe I brought up before this show about Tony Lip. Just a side, not regarding Green Book, but he actually ended up going on and having a pseudo successful acting career on the side that doesn't get mentioned. He ended up being he had a very small role, but he was still in The Godfather.
That's crazy.
He was in The Sopranos. He was, I believe, one of the mobsters, like a villain type role. But yeah, kind of.
Wait, you said Goodfellas too? Was it Goodfellas he was also
I think it was Goodfellas. I'll look it up real quick. But he actually, because they make it sound like he might not, like that was kind of it for him. Like he did this job, and then no one really ever heard from him other than the fact that he was Don Shirley's friend.
Right.
But it ended up where towards the end of his life, he was a part of a few very successful films.
Interesting.
And
okay.
I'm looking up. He was Carmen Lupertazzi, a crime boss in The Sopranos, and then he was also a part of The Godfather in a very small role. Obviously, his life was portrayed in Green Book, and that looks like
fun facts.
But yeah, kind of a crazy side.
Cool.
Side story with him.
Well, thanks for coming up on the show, Dan.
He was in the Goodfellas too.
He was in Goodfellas. Okay,
yeah. He was. Okay.
I love Goodfellas. I love all those movies you just named, but I really like Goodfellas and Godfather too. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming up. Until next week, appreciate you all for listening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Peace.